The colony ship Aurora's Hope floated through the dark space of the Kepler system. Inside, 3,000 humans were traveling to their new home. They had left Earth 6 months ago, full of hope for a better future. Jacob Miller, a 12-year-old boy with sandy brown hair, played catch with his younger sister Emma in the recreation area. Emma was only 9, but she could throw the ball as hard as any kid her age. Their laughter echoed through the metal corridors of the ship. "Come on, Emma, throw it harder," Jacob called out, his blue eyes shining with joy. Their parents, Daniel and Lisa Miller, worked in the agricultural section of the ship. They were growing food for the journey and preparing seeds for the new colony. Daniel was a tall man with kind eyes, while Lisa had the same bright smile as her daughter Emma. "Kids, dinner in 30 minutes. Lisa's voice came through the ship's communication system. Everything seemed perfect. The ship's captain, John Sullivan, sat in the command center watching the stars pass by. He was a veteran of the Earth Defense Fleet, chosen for this mission because of his experience and calm nature. His gray hair showed his years of service, but his eyes were still sharp and alert. "Captain, we're picking up some unusual readings," said Katie Morgan, the ship's sensor operator. She was young but talented, fresh out of the academy. Captain Sullivan looked at the screens. "What kind of readings?" "Unknown ships approaching fast. Their technology. I've never seen anything like it. The Zalathi ships appeared like ghosts in the night. They were huge black vessels that seemed to absorb light itself. No human had ever seen such advanced technology. The aliens had ruled a quarter of the galaxy for thousands of years, but they had always ignored the young human race. The attack came without warning. The Zalathi ships fired beams of energy that passed right through the Aurora's Hope's shields. The human defenses, which seemed so strong back on Earth, were useless against the alien weapons. "All hands to battle stations," Captain Sullivan shouted, but it was already too late. The ship shook violently. People screamed and ran for safety. In the recreation area, Jacob grabbed Emma's hand. "Stay close to me," he told his sister. Daniel and Lisa Miller ran through the corridors, desperate to reach their children. Emergency lights flashed red, and alarms screamed throughout the ship. The Zalathi appeared inside the ship as if by magic. They were tall creatures over 7 feet high, with crystalline bodies that seemed to shift and change color. Their faces had no features that humans could recognize as eyes or mouths. The aliens moved with purpose. They ignored the adults completely. Some humans tried to fight, but the Zalathi had personal shields that stopped bullets and laser fire. One Zalathi pointed a strange device at a group of children. A blue light surrounded them and they disappeared. Parents screamed and reached for their vanishing children, but their hands passed through empty air. Jacob held Emma tight as a Zalathi approached them. "Don't let go," he shouted, but the blue light enveloped them both. The last thing Jacob saw was his mother's terrified face as she reached for them. Then everything went white. When the attack ended, the Zalathi ships vanished as quickly as they had appeared. The Aurora's Hope drifted in space, damaged but not destroyed. The adults stumbled through the corridors in shock. Daniel Miller fell to his knees where his children had been standing. Lisa collapsed beside him, sobbing uncontrollably. All around the ship, the same scene repeated. Every child under 15 years old was gone. 847 children had been taken. Captain Sullivan tried to maintain order, but even his steady voice cracked with emotion. "Get me a complete count," he ordered Katie Morgan. "I need to know exactly how many children they took." 3 days later, the Earth Defense Fleet received the distress signal. The message played in the command center of the EDF headquarters on Earth. Military officers and government officials watched in horror as Captain Sullivan described the attack. "They took our children," Sullivan's recorded voice said. "Every single child under 15. They ignored the adults completely. We couldn't stop them. Their technology is beyond anything we've ever seen." Admiral Susan Martinez, commander of the Earth Defense Fleet, stood rigid as she watched the message. She was a mother herself, and the thought of alien creatures stealing human children filled her with cold fury. "Get me everything we have on these Zalathi," she ordered her staff. The information was limited. The Zalathi Empire controlled vast regions of space. They were known to be advanced but had never shown interest in humanity before. Earth's first contact with alien species had been peaceful until now. "Why would they take our children?" asked General Robert Kim, Martinez's second-in-command. Dr. Paul Rodriguez, the fleet's chief scientist, studied the sensor data from Aurora's Hope. "The attack was precise," he said. "They knew exactly what they wanted. This wasn't random." Ambassador Karen Davis prepared to address the Galactic Council. She was humanity's representative to the alien nations, a job she had held for 5 years. The council met on a neutral space station where dozens of species gathered to discuss galactic affairs. The Zalathi representative stood before the council. Its crystalline form towered over the other delegates. When Karen Davis accused them of kidnapping human children, the aliens' response chilled everyone in the room. "The primitive species has no right to question the Zalathi Empire," it said through its translation device. "What we take is ours by right of superiority." Karen's hands clenched into fists. "Those are our children. Return them immediately." The Zalathi made a sound that might have been laughter. "You have no power to make demands. Your species is young and weak. Be grateful we did not take more." Back on Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Every human colony, every space station, every ship in the fleet received the report. The Zalathi had taken human children and showed no remorse. In homes across Earth and the colonies, parents held their children closer. The anger grew with each passing hour. Factories that made civilian products began converting to military production. Scientists started working on new weapons. Soldiers volunteered for dangerous missions. Humanity had been peaceful, eager to join the galactic community as friends. But the Zalathi had made a terrible mistake. They had threatened the most precious thing to any human parent, their children. The message went out across human space. "They took our children. Now we take them back." The galaxy would soon learn what happens when humanity's children are threatened. The Zalathi Empire, in all its ancient power and arrogance, had awakened something terrible. They had given humanity a reason to fight, and nothing in the universe could stop parents from protecting their young. 6 months had passed since the Zalathi took the human children. The galaxy watched as humanity changed from peaceful explorers into something else entirely. Factories on Earth worked day and night, building warships and weapons. The sound of construction never stopped. In a secret laboratory on Mars, Dr. Paul Rodriguez studied captured Zalathi technology. His team had managed to recover fragments from the attack on Aurora's Hope. The alien tech was unlike anything humans had seen before. "Look at this," Rodriguez said to his assistant, pointing at a holographic display. "Their shields work on a fixed frequency. They've used the same technology for thousands of years." His assistant, Dr. Sarah Kim, leaned closer. "So they never had to improve it?" "Exactly. They became lazy. And that gives us an advantage." Rodriguez had discovered something important. The Zalathi shields could be disrupted if hit with rapidly changing energy frequencies. It was like finding a crack in perfect armor. Meanwhile, on the Zalathi research station Zerion 7, the human children lived in clean white rooms. The aliens treated them like interesting animals in a zoo. They gave them food and water but never spoke to them directly. Emma Miller sat on her bed, drawing pictures with the materials the Zalathi provided. She drew her home, her parents, and the Aurora's Hope. Jacob watched the Zalathi guards through the transparent walls of their cell. "They follow the same pattern every day," Jacob whispered to Emma. "Guards change every 6 hours. Food comes at the same time. They're predictable." Emma nodded. Despite being only 9, she understood. The other children had started looking to Jacob as their leader. He was one of the oldest, and he kept everyone calm. "We need to learn everything about this place," Jacob said. "The layout, the systems, how things work." A boy named Tommy Chen, only 8 years old, had figured out how to access some of the station's computer terminals. The Zalathi hadn't expected human children to be so clever. "I can see maps of the station," Tommy reported quietly, and I think I understand some of their symbols. Back in human space, Admiral Susan Martinez commanded the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. Over 200 ships, including retrofitted mining vessels armed with new weapons. The ships weren't pretty, but they were deadly. We've located 3 Zalathi outposts near our territory, reported Commander Alex Turner. They're lightly defended. The Zalathi don't expect us to attack. Martinez studied the tactical display. They think we're too primitive to be a threat. Let's show them how wrong they are. The first strike came at dawn, Earth time. 3 human fleets attacked simultaneously. The Battle of Proxima stunned everyone, including humanity's own commanders. The retrofitted mining ships used their industrial lasers as weapons. The frequency modulation system Dr. Rodriguez had developed worked perfectly. Zalathi's shields flickered and failed under the assault. Their dreadnought is vulnerable, shouted Captain Rita Okafor from the bridge of her destroyer. All ships concentrate fire. The massive Zalathi warship, which had terrorized this sector for centuries, exploded in a brilliant flash. The debris scattered across space like dying. Stars. News of the victory spread instantly. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. Species that had lived under Zalathi rule for generations watched in amazement as the newcomers defeated their oppressors. Ambassador Karen Davis stood before the council again. This time, she didn't ask. She demanded. "Return our children, or we will take them back ourselves," she declared, "and we will destroy anyone who stands in our way." The Zalathi representative's crystalline form flickered with anger. "You won a small battle. Do not mistake luck for power." But other species were beginning to stir. The Varkans, insectoid beings, enslaved by the Zalathi for 500 years, sent a secret message to humanity. The message was simple. We want to help. Queen Ziktar of the Varkans met with human representatives on a neutral moon. Her compound eyes studied the humans carefully. The Zalathi took our homeworld long ago. She clicked through her translator. We have served them in fear, but you fight for your young. This is something we understand. The alliance formed quickly. The Varkans shared intelligence about Zalathi operations. They revealed locations of hidden bases and the schedules of patrol fleets. On Zerion 7, something unusual was happening. The Varkan workers who maintained the station had begun helping the human children. They left tools where the children could find them. They forgot to lock certain doors. Jacob noticed immediately. They're on our side, he told Emma, and the others. But we have to be careful. We can't let the Zalathi know. Dr. Rodriguez made another breakthrough. Working with Varkan scientists, he developed a weapon that could disrupt the quantum entanglement the Zalathi used for communication. It's like cutting their phone lines, he explained to Admiral Martinez. Hit them with this and they can't coordinate their forces. The second wave of attacks was even more successful. Human ships, now joined by Varkan vessels, struck at 5 Zalathi installations. The new weapons worked perfectly. Zalathi fleets fell into confusion as their hive mind communication shattered. Captain George Baker led a raid deep into Zalathi space. His crew of volunteers knew they might not return, but every person on board had lost a child, nephew, or niece to the aliens. For our children, Baker said as they engaged a Zalathi patrol. The battle was fierce but short. The human tactics of ambush and retreat confused the orderly Zalathi formations. Ships that had seemed invincible months ago now burned in space. The Zalathi High Command finally acknowledged the threat. Supreme Overlord Kexatheta himself addressed his military leaders. These primitives have become a nuisance, the massive, crystalline being declared. Deploy the Grand Fleet, exterminate their species, but it was already too late. The humans had shared their shield-breaking technology with the Varkans, who secretly passed it to other enslaved species. The Thorians, aquatic beings from a water world, began sabotaging Zalathi supply lines. The Kalenti, energy beings who had been forced to power Zalathi ships, started refusing to work. The Zalathi Empire, which had stood for 10,000 years, began to crack. They had ruled through fear and superior technology. Now they faced enemies who weren't afraid and who had found ways to beat their technology. On Earth, families of the taken children waited for news. They worked in the factories, served on the ships, and prayed for their children's return. The entire human race had united with one purpose. "We're coming for you," Lisa Miller whispered each night, looking at the stars. "Hold on, my babies. We're coming." The hunt was no longer just beginning, it was accelerating. The predators had become prey and the galaxy would never be the same. The war had spread across 50 star systems. What started as humanity's desperate fight to rescue their children had become something much larger. Species that had suffered under Zalathi rule for centuries now saw hope. On the water world of Thoria, massive creatures rose from the depths. The Thorians had hidden in their oceans for 300 years, pretending to be simple animals while the Zalathi plundered their resources. "The humans fight like the predators of the deep," gurgled High Swimmer Bluefin through her translator. "They strike fast and disappear. We will join them." The Thorian battle whales, each the size of a human destroyer, began attacking Zalathi mining platforms. Their sonic weapons shattered the crystalline structures, sending them crashing into the turbulent seas. Meanwhile, in the Calenti Nebula, beings made of pure energy gathered for the first time in generations. The Zalathi had trapped them in special containers, using their energy to power their ships and weapons. "Freedom," pulsed the eldest spark. "The humans have shown us it is possible." The Calenti began escaping their prisons. Without warning, Zalathi, ships across the galaxy lost power. Engines died. Weapons fell silent. Life support systems failed. Captain Ashley Cooper commanded the human destroyer Phoenix. She was leading a strike force toward a major Zalathi supply base when her communications officer reported something unusual. "Captain, we're receiving signals from everywhere. Varkans, Thorians, Calenti, and dozen other species. They're all fighting the Zalathi." Cooper smiled grimly. "Patch me through to all allied forces. Let's coordinate this rebellion." On Earth, Dr. Maria Thompson made another critical discovery. She had been analyzing records from extinct civilizations and found something shocking. "The Zalathi aren't innovators," she announced to the War Council. "They're thieves. Every piece of their technology was stolen from species they conquered and destroyed." General Robert Kim leaned forward. "What does that mean for us?" "It means they can't adapt quickly," Thompson explained. "They don't understand their own technology fully. They just use what they stole. That's why our new weapons work so well against them." This information spread through human command. They realized the Zalathi's greatest weakness was their lack of creativity. They had been using the same tactics and technology for thousands of years. On Zarion 7, the human children had been busy. Tommy Chen had gained deeper access to the station's systems. With help from sympathetic Varkan workers, the children now controlled several important functions. "I can change the temperature in different sections," Tommy reported, "and I found the communication systems." Jacob Miller organized the children into teams. Some watched the guards, others mapped the station. The younger ones kept everyone's spirits up with songs and stories. "We need to be ready," Jacob told them. "When our parents come for us, we have to help from the inside." Emma Miller had become close with a young Varkan named Zix. The insectoid child had been born in captivity and had never known freedom. "Your people fight hard," Zix clicked to Emma. "My parent workers say humans love their young more fiercely than any species." "We do," Emma nodded, "and they'll come for us. I know they will." The war reached a turning point at the Battle of the Nexus Gate. This was a crucial hyperspace junction that connected major Zalathi systems. Admiral Martinez led the assault with a combined fleet of humans and allies. "All ships, remember the plan," Martinez broadcast. "The Varkans will jam their communications. Thorians hit their flanks. Calenti drain their power. Humans go straight for their command ships." The battle was the largest in recorded galactic history. Thousands of ships clashed in the void. The Zalathi fought with desperate fury, but their formations crumbled under the coordinated assault. Supreme Overlord Kexitheta watched from his palace as reports flooded in. His crystalline form pulsed with colors of rage and fear. "How can primitives defeat us?" he demanded. We have ruled for 10 millennia. His advisor, a smaller Zalathi named Vexmar, trembled. They fight differently, Overlord. They adapt, they learn, and they've united our slaves against us. The truth was becoming clear. The Zalathi Empire was falling not just to human weapons, but to the combined rage of 100 oppressed species. Captain John Sullivan, still commanding the repaired Aurora's Hope, led a rescue mission toward Zalathi space. The ship that had once carried colonists now bristled with weapons. "We know where our children are," he announced to his crew. "Station Zerion 7. Military intelligence confirms it. We're going to get them back." The crew cheered. Many were parents of the taken children. They had waited, trained, and prepared for this moment. Back on Zerion 7, alarms began sounding. The children could see Zalathi guards running through the corridors in panic. "Something's happening," Jacob called out. "Everyone get ready." Tommy Chen accessed the external sensors. "Ships, lots of ships. They're fighting outside." The children pressed against the transparent walls of their cells. In the distance, they could see flashes of light as ships battled in space. Ambassador Karen Davis delivered humanity's ultimatum to the remaining Zalathi leadership. She stood before them not as a diplomat seeking peace, but as a representative of an angry species. "Surrender now," she declared. "Return every child you've taken, submit to galactic justice, or face complete destruction." The Zalathi representative wavered. Its crystalline form had lost its arrogant shine. You cannot defeat the Eternal Empire." "Your empire is already defeated," Davis replied coldly. "You just haven't accepted it yet." Across the galaxy, the rebellion reached its peak. Zalathi bases fell one after another. Their fleet scattered, unable to coordinate without their quantum communication network. Species they had enslaved for millennia rose up with accumulated fury. Dr. Rodriguez watched from his laboratory as the latest battle reports came in. His weapons had worked beyond all expectations. But he knew the real weapon wasn't technology. "It's love," he said to his assistant. "Love for our children drove us to do the impossible." The galaxy was awakening from a long nightmare. The Zalathi had ruled through fear and superior technology, but they had never faced an enemy motivated by something stronger than fear or greed. They had never faced parents fighting for their children. The final phase of the war was about to begin. The Zalathi homeworld itself would soon face the combined wrath of the species they had oppressed. And somewhere in space, on a research station called Zerion 7, human children waited for their parents to come. The galaxy didn't just tremble anymore. It roared with the voice of freedom. The Zalathi homeworld stood at the center of their crumbling empire. The planet, called Zelax Prime, was a crystal fortress floating in space. Its surface gleamed with structures that had stood for 50,000 years. Now, for the first time in history, enemy fleets surrounded it. Admiral Martinez stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, the Vengeance. Around her, a massive fleet waited for her command. Human ships, Varkan hive vessels, Thorian battle whales, and energy clouds of the Kalenti filled the space around Zelax Prime. "This is it," Martinez said to her crew. "Today, we end this war." On Research Station Zerion 7, the children knew something big was happening. The Zalathi guards had abandoned many sections. The few that remained looked confused and frightened. Jacob Miller had organized the children into groups. "Remember what we practiced," he told them. "When the rescue comes, we need to help guide them to us." Tommy Chen sat at a control panel, his small fingers flying over the alien interface. "I've got control of the station's defense grid," he announced. "I can turn it off when our ships arrive." Emma Miller held hands with her friend Zix, the young Varkan. "Don't worry," she told the insectoid child. "You're coming with us. We won't leave anyone behind." Back at Zelax Prime, Supreme Overlord, Kexatheta faced a terrible choice. His advisors begged him to surrender, but his pride wouldn't allow it. "We are the Zalathi," he roared, his crystalline form blazing with angry colors. "We do not bow to lesser beings." But his empire was already broken. Reports came from across the galaxy. Zalathi colonies had fallen. Their subjects had rebelled. Their mighty fleets drifted powerless in space. abandoned by the Kalenti energy beings who had powered them. Captain Ashley Cooper led the first assault wave. Her destroyer Phoenix dove toward the planet's defensive platforms. The new weapons. Dr. Rodriguez had developed cut-through Zalathi shields like they were made of paper. "Their defenses are failing," Cooper reported. "All ships, press the attack." The battle for Zelax Prime was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. The Zalathi fought with the desperation of a cornered animal. Their weapons were still powerful, and many Allied ships were destroyed. But for every ship that fell, 2 more took its place. The combined fleet pressed forward relentlessly. On Earth, families watched the live feeds from the battle. In homes, shelters, and public squares, humans held their breath. They knew their children's rescue depended on this fight. Lisa Miller clutched her husband Daniel's hand as they watched. "Come on," she whispered. "Bring our babies home." Captain John Sullivan's rescue fleet approached Zerion 7. The Aurora's Hope led 20 ships specially equipped for evacuation. They had practiced this mission 100 times. "Station's defenses are powering down," reported his tactical officer. "Someone's helping us from inside." Sullivan smiled. He had suspected the children wouldn't just wait passively. "Send the message. Tell them their parents are here." Inside Zerion 7, Tommy Chen saw the human ships approaching. "They're here," he shouted. "Our parents are here." The children cheered. Even the younger ones who had been scared for so long began to smile. Jacob quickly organized them. "Groups of 20, just like we practiced," he ordered. "Older kids help the younger ones. Stay together." The Varkan workers openly rebelled now. They overpowered the few remaining Zalathi guards and began opening pathways for the rescue teams. Human Marines burst through the station's airlocks. Lieutenant Sam Wilson led the first team. When he saw the children standing in organized groups, ready for evacuation, his eyes filled with tears. "We're here to take you home," he announced, his voice cracking with emotion. The evacuation proceeded with military precision. The children, despite their young age, followed instructions perfectly. They had prepared for this moment. Emma Miller refused to board a shuttle until she found Zix. "He's coming with us," she told Lieutenant Wilson firmly. Wilson looked at the young Varkan, then nodded. "Everyone comes home today." Back at Zelax Prime, the battle reached its climax. A combined strike force had breached the planet's inner defenses. Supreme Overlord Kex Theta himself joined the battle in his personal dreadnought. The massive ship was a terror weapon, designed to intimidate entire star systems. Its main gun could crack moons in half. But it had one weakness. It needed enormous amounts of power. The Kalenti had planned for this. As the dreadnought powered its main weapon, 1,000 energy beings swarmed it. They drained its power cores in seconds. Admiral Martinez watched as the mighty ship went dark. "Now," she ordered. "Hit it with everything." The concentrated fire of 100 ships struck the powerless dreadnought. Supreme Overlord Kexatheta's final transmission was picked up across the fleet. How did primitives defeat us?" The answer came from Captain Baker, whose own son had been among the taken children. "Because we're parents, and you took our children." The dreadnought exploded in a flash that was visible from the planet's surface. With their leader dead, the remaining Zalathi forces surrendered. On Zerion 7, the last shuttle prepared to leave. Captain Sullivan personally counted each child. 847 had been taken. 847 were coming home. Jacob Miller was the last to board. He turned to look at the station one final time. "We survived," he said quietly. Dr. Paul Rodriguez monitored the quantum communication networks. Across the galaxy, Zalathi forces were surrendering. The empire that had terrorized space for 10,000 years had fallen in less than 2 years. "It's over," he announced to the War Council. "We've won." The news spread instantly. On every human world, people celebrated. But the biggest celebration waited for the returning children. The Aurora's Hope approached Earth, carrying its precious cargo. As the ship entered orbit, 1,000,000 voices rose in welcome. Every screen on the planet showed the same image: human children pressing their faces against the ship's windows, searching for their parents. Ambassador Karen Davis addressed the Galactic Council one last time during the war. "We didn't want this conflict," she said. "But they took our children. What choice did they leave us?" The other species understood. Many of them were parents too. The Zelathi had crossed a line that should never be crossed. The evacuation shuttles landed at spaceports across Earth. Families rushed forward as doors opened. Children ran into their parents' arms. Tears flowed freely. Daniel and Lisa Miller pushed through the crowd. Then they saw them, Jacob and Emma standing together, looking older but unharmed. "Mom, Dad," the children cried, running forward. The family embrace was repeated thousands of times that day. After nearly 2 years, the stolen children were home. The galaxy watched in amazement. The humans had done something everyone thought impossible. They had broken the Zelathi Empire, not through superior technology or numbers, but through sheer determination and love. The turning tide had become a tsunami. The old order was swept away and a new age began. The war was over. The mighty Zelathi Empire, which had ruled for 10,000 years, existed now only in history books. Their crystal cities stood empty. Their fleets drifted silent in space. The galaxy had changed forever. 6 months after the children came home, the new Galactic Council met for the first time. The old council chamber had been destroyed in the war. The new one was built on a neutral space station with seats for every free species. Ambassador Karen Davis walked into the chamber wearing simple clothes instead of formal robes. Humanity had earned its place through blood and tears, not ceremony. "We gather here as equals," she addressed the assembly. "No species rules over another. That age is finished." The Varkans clicked their agreement. Queen Zikatar herself attended, her compound eyes reflecting the lights of freedom. "The humans showed us the way," she said. "They fought not for conquest but for love." The Council's first act was unanimous, the Children's Protection Act. The law was simple but powerful. No species could ever take the children of another. The penalty would be swift and severe. On Earth, life slowly returned to normal. But things had changed. Humanity was no longer the newcomer to the galaxy. They were the liberators, the ones who had brought down an empire. Jacob Miller, now 13, returned to school. His classmates treated him like a hero, but he just wanted to be normal again. The memories of Zerion 7 would never fully fade. "I learned something important," he told his parents one evening. "Even when you're scared, you can still be brave. And you're never alone if you help others." Emma Miller had kept her promise to her Varkan friend. Zix lived with the Miller family now, the first alien child to be adopted by humans. The two were inseparable. "My people sing songs about yours now," Zix told Emma one day. "They call humans the parent warriors." Dr. Paul Rodriguez received offers from across the galaxy. Every species wanted to learn from the scientist who had cracked Zelathi technology. But he chose to stay on Earth. "My work is done," he said. "Let the younger generation explore the stars. I just want to tend my garden and watch my grandchildren play." Captain John Sullivan retired from military service. The Aurora's Hope was converted back to a colony ship. But Sullivan chose a different path. "I'm starting a rescue service," he announced. "If any child, anywhere in the galaxy, needs help, we'll be there." His crew was a mix of species: humans, Varkans, Thorians, even some Kalenti. They painted their ship bright yellow and called it the Hope's Return. The Zelathi were not destroyed. That wasn't humanity's way. The survivors were given a single star system to call home. They lived under strict supervision, their weapons removed, their empire a memory. Some Zelathi learned to change. Without their stolen technology and slave workers, they had to innovate for the first time in millennia. A few even expressed regret for their actions. One young Zelathi named Vexisol approached the human embassy. "I study your history," he said, through his translator. "You could have destroyed us completely. Why didn't you?" Ambassador Davis smiled sadly. "Because that would make us like you were. We fight to protect. not to destroy. Admiral Susan Martinez became the first commander of the Galactic Peace Force. Ships from every free species served together, preventing any new empire from rising. "We learned something important," she said at the force's inauguration. "United, we are stronger than any tyrant." Tommy Chen, the boy who had hacked Zalathi systems, grew up to become a computer expert. By age 18, he led a team creating new communication networks to connect all peaceful species. "The Zalathi use technology to control," he explained to a documentary crew. "We use it to unite." Emma Miller and Zix started an exchange program. Children from different species would live with families of other cultures. Understanding replaced fear. Friendship replaced suspicion. "If children grow up together," Emma explained at age 16, "they won't grow up to fight each other." The program was so successful that within 5 years, most worlds participated. The galaxy's children learned each other's languages, ate each other's food, and played each other's games. 20 years passed. The galaxy prospered in peace. Trade flourished. Science advanced. Species that had hidden during Zalathi rule emerged to share their knowledge. Jacob Miller became a diplomat, like Ambassador Davis. He specialized in first contact situations, helping new species join the galactic community. "We approach with open hands," he taught new diplomats. "But we remember the lesson of the Zalathi. We protect what matters most." Dr. Maria Thompson's research into extinct civilizations revealed beautiful cultures destroyed by the Zalathi. Museums were built to honor these lost peoples. Their stories were told so they wouldn't be forgotten. "We can't bring them back," Thompson said, "but we can ensure their fate never happens again." The anniversary of the children's return became a galaxy-wide holiday. Every species celebrated in their own way. Humans lit candles. Varkans performed ritual dances. Thorians sang their deep ocean songs. Captain Ashley Cooper, now an admiral, commanded the memorial fleet that patrolled old Zalathi space. They made sure no remnants of the empire could rise again. "Vigilance is the price of peace," she often said. In schools across the galaxy, children learned about the human-parent war. Teachers explained how a young species changed everything by refusing to abandon their offspring. "The humans taught us the greatest lesson," said a Kalenti teacher, its energy form pulsing with emotion. "Love is stronger than fear. Unity is stronger than oppression." The Miller family gathered for Sunday dinner, a tradition they'd maintained for 20 years. Jacob brought his wife and children. Emma and Zix, now adults, sat side by side as they had since childhood. "Remember when we thought we'd never see home again?" Emma asked her brother. Jacob nodded, "But Mom and Dad came for us. The whole species came for us." Daniel Miller, now gray-haired but still strong, raised his glass. "To family," he toasted, "and to the galaxy that learned what family means." That night, Lisa Miller looked at the stars through her window. They seemed friendlier now. The galaxy that had once threatened her children now protected all children. "We did it," she whispered to the stars. "We changed everything." And across the galaxy, billions of beings slept, peacefully. The children were safe. The tyrants were gone. The galaxy no longer trembled with fear. It sang with hope. The end.